Okay, Thursday, 3rd of July 2025. So, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Thoughtful Thursday, philosophy and musings from life. Epistemic lag, epistemic contrast, epistemic shock. Now, lately, over the past week or so, I have been thinking a little bit about epistemology, understanding how we define truth, understanding what is truth, how we define truth. And one interesting thing, a few interesting concepts I muddled into is epistemic lag, meaning, say you're here, and this is where you ought to be, in an ideal world, in an ideal scenario, whether stoically speaking or Epicureanly speaking, we ought to be here, in a sense of you're at this stage or this progress or this much time spent in something. You really ought to be here, not down here or wherever you are, as a matter of fact, being. So, for example, you're age 20 and you should be here, but you're there. For whatever reason, for example. And we could measure this by culture, by standards, by morals, by anything. Just, we are lagging behind in some fashion. It could be slightly, it could be drastic. It really depends, in a sense of where you want to be, or even in a wider frame where society expects someone at that level to be, or even psychologically, in terms of mental development or physical development. There's that lag. Fair enough, it just is. And that leads to epistemic contrast. And this is looking at things as they are, in a sense of you are looking at someone's feed on Instagram, for example, or WhatsApp stories, and you're thinking, how is this person, same age as me, let's say, how are they sustainably having this kind of life? That contrast is visible as a matter of factness. How do they achieve that? How do they do that? How? You're seeing it with the naked eye. Admittedly, you could say on social media in this context, but even in person, you're looking at this and thinking, how is this possible? And you could be looking at it below or above. For example, a few weeks ago, I was seeing someone, as in just seeing them with the naked eye, and this person was roughly the same age as me, and I'm thinking, how is this person living their life like this? How are they doing this? How can they, again, looking, not to be pig or big-headed, but to say, how is this person doing that? What is he doing? Why does he not have this? Why does he not have that? What's going on here? I'm recognizing the epistemic lag, where I am at this stage and I'm at this stage. I'm imposing the same standards on them and they're down here. Just as a matter of factness. How? What's going on here? Just how in the same way I would look at people who are, say, half my age and think, how did they achieve that? How is that possible? What does he know? Family know. What do they know that I don't? And I did a video about this as well, about the shock and awe a few days ago, and that contrast. He knows something I don't, so therefore I need to go faster, work harder, learn more, read more, things like that. It's that contrast of two worlds colliding. How is that possible? Again, just looking at someone's Instagram feed and thinking, how is that possible that they have that kind of life? On prima facie, on first view, it's that. And that leads into epistemic shock. An epistemic shock can either be all at once, compressed into a short period of time, or over decades, depending on how big, how drastic that shock is. Meaning, to go from here, let's say mentally, for example, or understanding of something, to where we want to be, up here, for example, can either be compressed into minutes, days, or decades. So, for example, you learn a new fact about biology, let's say, and you instantly go from here, and your understanding of reality just takes a leap up like that. But it's a small little fact. It's just a little tidbit, let's say, just an interesting thing about life. I did a video about this actually, the surface to volume ratio of elephants versus mice, and how that principle could be applied in business or in finance and elsewhere. And that might have taken me, I guess, 10 minutes, I guess, half an hour, I guess, to acclimatize that concept, to understand and internalize it. So that shock was not particularly major, but it would have taken half an hour to fully internalize. But other things might take decades to internalize, just thinking and brewing over it, understanding it, that shock. How does that happen? Analyzing it, thinking, pondering, reading it through, meditating about it in a very non-spiritual way, just thinking, and coming to different conclusions as you learn new things. It's that shock. And then we can say, the shorter that time frame is, and the bigger the fact or the disruptiveness of that information is, the more mind-blowing it is. And it's one of those situations where you need to take a moment to just think and analyze and just whoa. Like when you stagger or flinch, but you get back on your feet and you continue. You just continue moving forward. It's kind of akin to that. But that staggering could be more elongated, let's say, as opposed to just and continuing. It's that, but in a mental way of looking at reality and understanding a new fact about it, and then continuing, pushing forward. 1 step back, 2 steps forward. Then you eventually get to half a step back, 2.5 steps forward. Something like that, where you're able to take these epistemic shocks, just like glancing blows, they hit you and they just glance off you, as opposed to being really impactful and needing time to recover and regroup and restructure and reorganize. And especially, I think, when you've got a lot of neuroplasticity, meaning open-minded and able to adapt very much on the fly, that's powerful. So you can just withstand epistemic shock after shock after shock after shock. Give me facts, challenge this, disprove that. What assumptions am I making? What is society fundamentally doing wrong? Powerful, deep questions, concepts, facts, principles of life or world that society, the world, community, you name it, is overlooking, ignoring, misunderstanding, having misconception about, you name it. That. And then you can go 1 step further to say, well, we need epistemic shock after shock after shock to disprove as many falsehoods and misconceptions we have about life. Because those, we could say, they're inefficiencies, they're holding us back. By not understanding reality as it truly is, we're over here, away with the fairies, oh, la-di-da-da. Whereas life is over here, cold, harsh and brutal, and we need to be more in sync with reality so as to not be delusional. The more in sync we are with reality via these epistemic shocks, by understanding more contrasts, and also understanding the epistemic lag, the better. The more in tune with reality we are, the more effectively and efficiently we can work on goals and achieve them. That's priceless. Very important. So epistemic lag, epistemic contrast, epistemic shock. Did I coin these? Did I come across them? Maybe they're known as something else in the world. I have no idea. But I quite like these concepts. And it's nice to see them in reality. That person I saw a few weeks ago, epistemic contrast. There's someone else I know as well. I'm thinking epistemic lag. They're not where they ought to be based on their circumstances. An epistemic shock. Tell me more, elaborate, steelman this argument, more, data, facts, assumptions, first principles, more. Give me more shock so as to dispel as many disillusions and inaccuracies and assumptions of life. Essentially reducing the God of the gap so we know about the world better, are more in sync with reality. Powerful stuff. And the more in sync with reality we are, the more we can enumerate things and point to it and quantify it and apply a KPI to it. That's powerful as well in terms of leveraging and managing our life. Powerful stuff. But otherwise, Adrian's Daily Vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.